I want to start today with a question about your to-do list. You know the one. Maybe it's on your phone. Maybe it's that crumpled piece of paper on your desk.
Uh-huh.
What's the fantasy you have about that list? Because I think deep down we all share the same one,
That you'll finish it.
that you'll finish it. That if we just work hard enough, grind through it, we'll hit the bottom. We'll get to inbox zero. The house will be perfectly clean. The project done. And then we can stop. We can rest. We can finally exist in this state of perfect static balance.
It's the modern dream, isn't it? This idea that balance is a destination.
Yeah.
We treat life like a video game where if you just beat the final boss, the credits roll and everything's fine forever. But that mindset is, I think, exactly why so many of us feel constantly burned out. We're chasing a finish line that just keeps moving.
Right, because the laundry is never actually done. You just wear clothes again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that frustration, that feeling that the work never truly ends is the perfect entry point for what we're diving into today.
It is.
We're looking at a text that takes that feeling
Right.
and flips it into a kind of cosmic philosophy. We're looking at a piece called The Silent Guardian of Creation from the Brahma Purana.
And before anyone tunes out thinking this is going to be some dry religious lecture, let me frame it a little differently. This text is, it's essentially a manual on systems engineering, just disguised as mythology.
Oh, I like that. Systems engineering.
It tackles one of the hardest problems in existence. How do you keep a really complex system running without it just falling apart?
That's a great frame for it, because usually when we talk about creation, we focus on the start, the spark, the Big Bang, the founder moment.
Exactly. We're obsessed with beginnings. In business, we celebrate the launch. In history, the revolution. But this source material, it almost completely ignores the start. It argues that starting something is actually the easy part. Creating, that's just a moment. The text makes this really provocative claim right out of the gate. It says, creation does not protect itself.
Creation does not protect itself. Okay, but
Yeah.
let's push back on that for a second, because when I look at nature, it seems pretty self-regulating. Forests grow back, ecosystems find a balance. Isn't there a kind of natural order that just handles things?
It certainly looks that way from the outside.
Yeah.
But let's look a little closer. Think about a garden. If you plant a garden and then you just walk away, you don't water it, you don't weed it, you don't chase away the pests, what happens? Does it stay a garden?
No, the weeds take over, the plants die. It turns into a jungle or, a dust bowl.
Right. It succumbs to entropy. That's
Yeah.
the physics term for it. Chaos. The universe has a natural tendency to move from order to disorder. Things break down. Energy dissipates. So when the text says creation does not protect itself, it's acknowledging that reality. It's saying the natural state isn't a perfect garden. The natural state is decay.
Unless there's an intervention.
Precisely. Unless there is a counterforce. The text says that balance isn't some permanent state you achieve. It's a fleeting moment that has to be actively, consciously maintained. It says creation needed more than balance. It needed a conscious guardian.
Okay, so this sets up a distinction between a passive system like a clock you wind up and just walk away from, and an active system that needs a pilot at the controls.
Yes. And this is where the text gets philosophically very heavy. It starts to describe the nature of this preserver. And the job description is, well, it's absolutely brutal. It describes preservation not as a series of actions, but as a continuous responsibility.
That word continuous, that's doing a lot of work there.
It is. I mean, think about what that actually means. Continuous. No weekends, no holidays, no sleeping. The text explicitly says this guardian must possess an awareness that never sleeps.
That sounds exhausting. I mean, we were just talking about burnout. That sounds like the ultimate definition of burnout, being on 24/7 forever. Why frame it that way? Is it just to make the guardian sound powerful?
I don't think it's about power in the way we usually think about it. I think it's about the nature of awareness itself. Think of an air traffic controller.
Okay. High stress, high stakes.
Extremely high stakes. Now, an air traffic controller can take a break because there's someone else to take their seat. But imagine if there was only one controller for the entire sky. If they look away for just 10 seconds to check their phone or close their eyes.
Planes crash, the whole system collapses.
Right. The sleepless watch described in the text isn't about some kind of cosmic work ethic. It's about structural necessity. If the force holding atoms together or keeping planets in orbit decides to take a nap, the laws of physics just stop working. So the text is asking us to contemplate a level of responsibility that is terrifyingly absolute, an awareness that literally cannot afford to blink.
It really changes how you see the world, doesn't it? We walk around thinking the ground is solid and the sky is safe just because. But this perspective suggests that safety isn't a default setting. It's an act of service.
It is a service being performed constantly, invisibly right now.
And service feels like the key word. Which I think leads us to the second major argument in the source material, which, for me, was even more counterintuitive than the sleeplessness. It's about how this guardian acts. This is the part that surprised me, because usually if you have a godlike figure sustaining the universe, you expect, I don't know, thunderbolts. You expect glory, a king on a throne demanding tribute.
Exactly. We associate power with volume. The most powerful person in the room is usually the loudest, or the one everyone's looking at. But the text just flips this completely. It says the preserver must intervene without ego and act without ownership.
Act without ownership. That goes against, pretty much every human instinct we have. If I build a house, I want my name on the deed. If I write some code that saves my company millions, I want the bonus, the recognition. We want to own our output.
We do. We crave that validation. We want to be able to point to the thing and say, I did that.
Yeah.
But the text argues that you cannot truly preserve something if you're also trying to own it.
Why not? Why can't you do both?
Because ownership implies that the object exists for your benefit. If I own a car, I can drive it, sell it, paint it pink, or drive into a wall if I feel like it. It's mine. But if I'm a guardian of the car...
Then you have to do what's best for the car, not what's fun for you.
Exactly. Preservation requires you to subordinate your own desires to the needs of the system you're protecting. The text says the guardian moves within, creation adjusting, correcting, holding, but never dominating. It calls this action without ego.
That distinction between dominating and holding is really subtle. It reminds me of parenting, actually.
That is a perfect analogy going.
Well, when a kid is tiny, you control everything. You pick them up, you move them. But as they grow, your job shifts. You can't live their life for them. If you try to dominate every aspect of their existence, you aren't preserving them, you're smothering them, stunting their growth. You have to transition into this role of just watching, catching them when they fall, but letting them walk on their own.
And that is infinitely harder than just controlling them, isn't it?
Oh, totally. Locking them in a room where they can't get hurt is easy. Watching them climb a tree and being ready to catch them, but not stopping them from climbing in the first place, that's terrifying.
That is the restraint the text talks about. It's an incredible line. This responsibility did not arise from power, but from restraint.
Yeah.
It suggests that the ultimate discipline isn't about what you can do, but what you choose not to do. The preserver has the power to rule, but chooses only to serve.
It's the IT guy paradox, isn't it?
The IT guy paradox. I haven't heard that.
Yeah. In a big company, nobody knows the name of the IT person who keeps the servers running perfectly. If they do their job 100% correctly, the internet just works. Email just sends. Nobody walks by their desk and says, hey, great job keeping the packet loss at 0 today.
No, they don't.
But the second the internet goes down,
Everyone knows their name.
everyone knows their name and everyone is screaming for them.
That's a brilliant modern application of what the text calls the invisible sacrifice. The source material has this haunting line. To sustain everything, one must be willing to become invisible.
Willing to become invisible. That feels like such a heavy cost. We live in an influencer economy where visibility is the currency. If you aren't seen, you basically don't matter. This text is saying the most important job is done by the one you never see.
It creates a real philosophical problem for us. If the preserver does their job perfectly, it looks like nothing happened. The disaster is averted before it even manifests. The car accident doesn't happen. The economy doesn't crash. When things go right, we just assume it's luck or the natural order of things. We rarely assume it's because someone was working tirelessly in the background, keeping the rails aligned.
It's like you're defined by the catastrophes that didn't occur.
And that requires a complete and total lack of ego. You have to be okay with being the foundation, buried under the floorboards. You're holding the entire structure up, but no one ever sees you, and if you step out to take a bow, the whole house falls down.
So the text poses this question. Who became the preserver, and what did preservation cost him? When we look at it through this lens, it's not really asking for a name, is it? It's asking about the character required for the job.
It is. It's a character profile. It's telling us that the person best suited to hold power is the one who doesn't want to use it for themselves. It's the one willing to disappear into the service of the work itself. It reframes the role from a position of authority, which is about being above others, to compassion, which is about being underneath, supporting them.
Compassion is an interesting word choice there. Usually we think of compassion as, being nice or gentle. But here, compassion sounds like grit. It sounds like endurance.
I think that's the right read. True compassion isn't just a warm, fuzzy feeling. It's the willingness to bear a burden so that someone else doesn't have to. If I hold the weight of the roof, you get to live in the house without worrying about it crushing you. That is compassion. But it feels like Atlas holding up the sky. It is a form of suffering.
It really challenges the why of it all, though. Why would any entity, cosmic or human, sign up for this? You don't get the glory of the creator. You don't get the fear and respect of the destroyer. You just get the long, endless grind of the middle.
I think the text suggests the motivation is simply that the existence of the world is worth it. It's a love for the isness of things. If you love the garden, you pull the weeds, not because you love pulling weeds, but because you love the flowers.
Which brings us back to that systems engineering idea.
Yeah.
The goal isn't the glory of the engineer. The goal is the uptime of the system.
Precisely. And this leads us to the synthesis of the text. When you look at the source material as a whole, it really breaks down into 5 pillars of preservation. It's almost a manifesto for anyone in a leadership or a support role.
Okay, let's run through those. What are the 5 pillars?
Well, the first is continuous awareness. You can't fix what you don't see. You have to be present, constantly watching the gauges. The second is that true responsibility seeks no recognition. If you're doing it for the applause, you'll quit when the applause stops. And in maintenance, there's rarely applause.
True.
The third is preservation is restraint, not power. It's that ability to intervene gently, to nudge rather than to shove. The fourth, guardianship is service. You don't own the people or things you protect. You serve their potential. And the fifth, which we just touched on, is that the greatest sacrifices are unseen. The silence is the work.
That last one, the silence is the work, is beautiful, but it brings us to the very end of the source material. And there's a twist. We spent this whole time talking about invisibility, about staying in the background, this silent guardian. But the text doesn't end in silence.
No, it doesn't. It has a very specific and slightly ominous conclusion. Preservation found its guardian, but every guardian must eventually act.
Must eventually act. That implies a breaking of the silence, doesn't it?
It does. And I want you to think about what that means in the context of everything we've just discussed. If the guardian's whole job is to make these subtle adjustments, little nudges, invisible corrections, so that nobody ever notices, what does it mean if they are forced to act with a capital A?
It means the subtle nudges didn't work.
Exactly. It means the system has drifted so far out of balance that a gentle hand is no longer enough.
So if the guardian reveals themselves, that's not a good day.
It's a very bad day. It means we have moved from maintenance to emergency intervention. It's the difference between a doctor telling you to eat more vegetables, that's preservation, and a surgeon cracking open your chest on an operating table. The surgeon is visible. The surgeon's taking drastic action, but you really, really wanted the invisible maintenance to work instead.
That's a chilling thought. We crave the miraculous intervention. We want the superhero to swoop down and save the day. But this philosophy suggests that if the superhero has to swoop down, we've already failed. We should have been appreciating the boring, quiet days where nothing happened.
It validates the boring days. It reminds us that peace isn't the absence of activity. It's the result of successful, invisible guardianship.
So, bringing this back down to earth to our listener who is maybe driving to work or folding that laundry we talked about earlier, we aren't cosmic deities. We aren't holding up the universe, but we are all guardians of something, aren't we?
We are. Every single one of us is a preserver of some small corner of reality. Maybe you're the one who keeps the peace in your family. You're the one who swallows your anger to keep an argument from exploding. That is invisible work. That is restraint.
Or in your workplace. You're the one who double checks the data so the client doesn't get the wrong report. Nobody sees you do it, but you saved the account.
Exactly. Or you're the friend who checks in on someone who is struggling just to keep them tethered. You are providing that continuous awareness.
It changes how you value yourself. If you feel invisible, if you feel like you're doing all this work and nobody notices, maybe that doesn't mean you're failing. Maybe it means you're doing the job perfectly.
That is the ultimate takeaway. Do not mistake invisibility for unimportance. In the eyes of this philosophy, the invisible work is the most essential work in the universe. You are keeping the entropy at bay. You are the reason the garden is still growing.
So to everyone listening, Take a look at the boring parts of your life, the things that are running smoothly, and maybe take a second to appreciate the invisible effort, yours or someone else's, that is keeping them that way. Because balance isn't magic, it's work.
It is the heaviest work there is.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.